Well, Alpine guy here in Idaho. Beautiful Sunday, Easter Sunday. We've got a ham on the smoker, and the wind is down, and we've got about almost 70 degrees. So we're going to get up on the roof today and do our annual spring preparation on the two AC units. And basically what I'm going to do is remove the cover off of each one of those units, use my compressed air hose and blow out the condenser coils, the fan, the capacitor, electronic box area, and the compressor area, and then just do a general look-see of each one of the air conditioners and see what kind of condition they're in. And then we'll do an operational check of each one. Since it's 70, we can actually fire up the AC on each one of these units and run it. And we'll be using my two Honda 2000 generators today to do that with, because we've only got 15 amp power here at the house for the Alpine. As you can see, I've got my handy dandy all-in-one toolkit out that I use. This is for all of the routine normal things that I do on the Alpine. What you see in this toolkit, I can pretty much do just about anything with the Alpine, except for some of the suspension work, of course. We've got the two Honda 2000s set up in parallel to run here in a little bit. And we've got our air hose and everything. And I've got my Porter Cable air compressor that's up in the front of the fifth wheel. So we've got that set. We've got about 45 PSI on the end of the air gun there. And if you notice, I use a little step ladder, and I use that to get up on the main ladder with, because it's less of a step for a guy with a 29-inch inseam, and it's also safer, and it's less wear and tear on this ladder. So there's a tip for you. Tools I'm going to use today for this are going to be a number 2 square drive, aka Robertson bit, and an apex holder, and I've also got a Phillips screwdriver in my pocket, and that's the only tools I'm going to take up with me, and plus the air hose. So without further ado, we'll see if the old man can get up on the roof without doing a 1.5 gainer, and we'll get those AC covers off, and we'll show you what we look at on these units. Okay, the old man made it up on the top of the Alpine. Right now I'm looking at the rear AC, which is a Dometic 15K heat pump air conditioner unit, and on the front of the fifth wheel is also a Dometic, and it's a 13.5 Brisk-Air 2. And we'll be pulling the covers off of these one at a time, cleaning them, show you what I do, and then we'll, with the covers off, we'll run it for a few minutes and see what the fan and everything sounds like, and then put the covers back on. Right now I have 6 of the 8 screws out on the rear unit. I have 2 more left, and these screws, they're Phillips head. They come out real easy, and when you put them back in, you don't need to reef them down like Superman. Okay, so we've got the cover off, and we're looking at the Dometic. We're looking at the Dometic 15K AC combo heat pump unit, and what I'm going to be blowing out is the fan area here, running to the condenser coil, and that's this coil back in here. And you can also see the condenser coil here, and we're going to blow that out gently. Going to blow all the dust off the fan blades, and if I hadn't had this off last year already, then I would pull this cover off, which would give me access to the condenser coil. But since I did this last year, I only pull this cover off on this one about once every other year. And you can see we got a little bit of dust on the compressor. And we'll just take a quick look-see at all the electrical components while we're here. Everything is looking good. All the wires look good. I don't see anything that jumps out and strikes me as having a problem. This little silver box that we're looking at is the control box that runs the air conditioning unit and the heat pump. And it also controls the signals to the furnace as well. And also on this older Dometic unit, you'll see that there's a single red wire that runs around up to the front, and you'll see a a non-coupled terminal end on here, and this is the outdoor temp sensor, which would tell me the outdoor temp if there was a sensor connected to it. So there's no sensor connected, obviously, to the end of the terminal, so we don't monitor the outside temp sensor, or excuse me, outside temperature. And I'm going to start blowing this unit out, and if you notice, I have all the screws I removed sitting right up here in front of the unit, and I do that for a reason, so that I know where the screws are at, and my big feet don't kick the screws, or I accidentally catch it with a blast of air and blow the screws off on the ground. And yeah, I've done that a few times. And we'll start blowing this out with the air hose. Okay, we've got everything blown out and wiped down. You can see it looks a little cleaner. I always take a wet rag, and the wife threw it up here for me a minute ago, and after I get done blowing everything out, I take that wet rag and stick in here and wipe around, wipe the wiring off, wipe the compressor off, and I wipe the outside of the condenser coils gently, and so that I don't bend anything. And we've got everything blown out good and clean. We don't see any signs or evidence of any issues, so we'll go and fire the generators up and then see if we can get this air conditioner to work. And before I jump off here, another thing I check is I'll grab a hold of this fan blade and I'll move this up and down to see if I see any side-to-side movement in it. There is, you see a little bit of free play, just barely a little bit of free play, and that's normal. But what I don't want to see is any wobbling. And when I spin the fan by hand, we can see that everything spins nice and uniformly. The fan blade is not wobbling. Also inside is the other fan, squirrel cage fan for the evaporator coil, which we can't see with this cover on. Okay, we're back up on top, and we've got the rear AC running in cold mode. And I'm going to take my hand and place it on the condenser, which is the cold coils, and what I should feel is an ice cold coil, which I do, and so that tells me that the compressor, which is this unit right here, is working. We've got nice cold air that's being generated down inside where the evap coil is, and the squirrel cage fan that blows all the cool air inside to the Alpine. And we'll feel the condenser coil, and it should be hot or warm, depending on the temperature and how long it's been running. And I can feel that this is starting to warm up, and all of the coils are starting to warm up. And when you look at the fan, it appears it's hardly spinning, and it's actually spinning very fastly, but the video kind of slows it down and captures it at 30 feet per second. So that's why it looks like it's hardly turning. As you can hear, hopefully, the air compressor sounds nice and quiet. Fan motor and everything sounds good. Here are my two Honda generators running, and I've got them on high setting instead of having them on eco mode, so they won't drop down. But everything looks good on this unit, and so we'll let this run for a few minutes, and then we'll turn this unit off and put the cover back on, and then we'll go take a look at the front unit. And a little tip when you go to put these covers back on, particularly on these older units, I loosely start all of these screws, about a turn or two with my fingers, all the way around before I actually start screwing them down with a screwdriver. So if you do that, it'll generally make the installation a piece of cake for you. Okay, while we let that Zone 1 AC run for a little bit longer, we'll go ahead and pull the front AC cover off, which is Zone 2 on my Alpine, and we'll get this off. And this is a Penguin 2 13.5 AC unit. Some of the newer Alpines will have the NXT series, and in the very newest ones, I think the 2023s are now coming, some of them with the Coleman AC. I'm fine with the Dometic. These units are now 10 years old, so knock on wood, we'll see if the front one works, and if so, then we still, after 10 years, have two good working ACs. More to follow. And we've got the screws off and stored up at the front so my big feet won't don't kick them. Before I pull this cover off on this unit, I wanted to show you down on the bottom of this particular unit, you will see five large holes, and they're on each side of this air conditioner. What I did, you can see there's window screen in there, and that window screen is in there for a reason, folks. I found out the hard way several years ago here at the house in the spring. The birds just love to get up inside there and build monster nests. And so to stop them from doing that, I thought about putting a cover on, but with the winds that we get here, that would be flopping all over. And you know, you can see where these are at. It would be hard to keep one. You'd have to keep it bungeed down close and tight to keep those birds out. And also the wasp and yellow jackets like to build nests in places like this. So with this plastic window screen on there, I glued that in from the inside on each side, and that keeps the birds' nests out, keeps the yellow jackets out, and keeps me happy, and the birds don't make a mess up inside here. So we'll go ahead and pull this cover off and take a look-see. And we have the cover off this unit. We're looking from the back side, and this is the condenser coil. All the hot air blows out through here, and up front underneath this cover is where the evaporator coil is at, and also there's a squirrel fan inside there. And we're looking at the fan motor, and this unit is the compressor. And again, we're just taking a general quick look-see and looking for any evidence of any overheating, things like that. We don't see any issues there. And another view of the window screen that I put on here. And there's actually holes here that the wasp can come right up through, along with these big holes right down here on the underneath. And so I just put a piece of window screen all the way across up here, and then use some silicone sealant and glued it down, and it's been in place there for, I don't know, about 7 or 8 years now, after I learned the lesson the hard way. One more view on this older unit. You can see the evaporator, or excuse me, the condenser fan, and that's what blows the hot air out. It gets rid of it, throws it out, gets it out of the AC system. And right in the front of us here on the side, we're looking at the control box, and that's basically the guts of what runs the unit. And if I took this cover off on my unit, underneath here you would see the evaporator coil, and you'd see another fan blade down there. Okay, we've got the front AC unit all cleaned up, and you know, for a 10-year-old AC unit, if it works as good as it looks, I'll be very happy here in a few minutes. So we'll go down and switch zones and switch to zone 2. And again, check this motor wheel in here to make sure we don't have any wobble, and we don't. We just have a little front to back play, and that's normal on that motor shaft. So everything else looks good. And we're going to see if it works. Okay, we're up on the top. We got the zone 2, the front AC unit running. And we'll take a feel right here on the evap coil. And I can already feel that it's getting cold. And we'll come back here to the condenser coils, and I can already feel that they're starting to warm up just a little bit. That tells me the compressor's working. Everything sounds nice and good. And evaporator coil, excuse me, condenser coil, it's running nice and slowly. Again, if it's running real slow, because the video is actually everything looks good. And so we'll let this one run for about 5 minutes, and we'll go ahead and put the cover on. And again, when you put these covers on, put the cover on and loosely install the screws, and then once you're through all the screws in, then go ahead and tighten everything down. Okay, we've got the front AC cover back on. That unit's still running. We've taken a quick cursory look-see at the TPO membrane on the top while we're up here. And also looked at the black tank and gray tank vent covers, mushroom cap for the awning, the skylight for the shower, and the other mushroom cap for the attic, and along with our Max Air covers. Don't see anything that concerns me. I don't see any evidence of any damage from the snow in the winter, anything like that. And a quick look-see on the slide. And that 1 main slide looks good for the 4-inch Eternabond tape out at the outer edge. And the TPO covering looks good. The D-seal looks good all along the edge up there. And I'm not going to bend over and hang my head down, but the wiper seals look good too. So the next project in a few days, as the weather gets just a little better, is we'll get up here with a bucket of Dawn dish soap and water and a soft bristle brush, and we'll wash the TPO membrane down on the roof as well as the slides while they're extended. We'll let them dry for a day and then come back up and take a look-see at all of the sealant, see if there's any areas that need to be touched up. Right now, from what I can see, last year's sealant held up real good, but a closer inspection once we have this all cleaned up to where we can really see what's going on will tell us the whole story. So with that, the Alpine guy is going to get off the roof before he does something stupid and tries to do a 1.5 gainer off the back of the ladder here or something like that. I don't think I'd do that, but you got to be careful when you're up here. Watch where your feet are at. Beautiful day here in southern Idaho, and we're sure thankful for some nice weather now. Take care. We'll see you later. That's it from the Alpine guy.